Thank you very much for being with us tonight. It's Tuesday into Wednesday, which means it's musicology time. We dig deep into what makes music great. Sometimes we talk about music theory or rhythm. Other times we talk about lyrics. Tonight, we're going to be talking about one of the most legendary recording studios of all time. Electric Lady Studios was commissioned by rock star Jimi Hendrix in 1968. He spent only 10 weeks recording there before his death that year. However, it quickly became famous and used by many top-selling recording artists from the 70s onwards: Led Zepp, Stevie Wonder, David Bowie. So tonight, Joe's going to take us through songs recorded at Electric Lady Studios. It's rude just to talk about him and not say hello. So let's play his theme tune and see if he magically appears. Yes, Professor Joe Bennett from the Berklee College of Music in Boston, known to us as Dr. Beat, is here. Joe, hello, welcome to the show.
Hello there, Tony. Good to be here.
Yes, I'm excited for this tonight now. Electric Lady Studios, why are they so special? Is it just the Hendrix connection?
Well, they sort of acquired legendary status before they were even built. So Hendrix was actually, from some of his recordings with the Hendrix Experience, started to get sick of the high studio fees that he was paying for a lot of his recordings. And so he figured that he should have his own place. So he found recent architecture graduate John Storick, still around, quite an old guy now, and still designing studios, who was 22 and straight out of architectural college, to design it for him. It was his first design gig, and it took 2 years, and it was completed, as you just said there, Tony, only 10 weeks before Hendrix sadly passed away. So although he did get to do some recording in it, obviously it wasn't as much recording as had been planned for. But since then, I mean, partly its location, it's in Greenwich Village, New York, so it's a real hub of activity, that part of the world. But mainly, it's just a room that sounds amazing. It's got a nice vibe, as musicians say.
That was just going to be a final question before we do the quiz. Can musically, Joe, can a space be special?
Well, it can, yeah, in two ways. One is it can be acoustically special. I'm talking to you now from my studio, which has all kinds of sound insulation in it to stop the reverbs and the bass frequencies bouncing around and so on. And you're there in the 5 Live studio, which has its own form of treatments. But on a more interesting level, a lot of studios just have a nice environment because, what are you asking a musician to do when they go in the studio? You're asking them to come up with something emotional and affecting. So the physical environment they're in is really important. And I'd suggest 5 Live listeners, it's worth a check with the search engine of your choice, an image search, to find a picture of Electric Lady Studios. It's still going today. It's recording still into 2025, and it's a lovely environment. Significantly, it had a larger control room because in the 60s when it was commissioned, musicians were starting to leave the live room, leave the recording space, come the other side of the glass wall and hang out by the mixing desk. And if you look at footage of, say, the Beatles in the Let It Be movie, they're actually in really small control rooms because it was a new thing for artists to come and hang out by the mixing desk. But Electric Lady has a big control room, and people just liked hanging out there.
Yeah, I suppose if you're a musician, the layered presence of ghosts of musicians past who've recorded there just add to that tenor of the place, I suppose.
Well, yeah, that kind of, you mentioned some of the legends particularly of the 70s that recorded there in the early days: Led Zeppelin, Stevie Wonder, David Bowie, but more recently, Taylor Swift, Lana Del Rey, Sabrina Carpenter, SZA, Rosalia, Clairo, Zach Bryan, Kendrick Lamar. It's still going strong, and the very top clients want to record there.
It looks like a multimillionaire's kind of Bond lair, really. There's lovely Persian rugs everywhere. There's little standard
It has
lamps.
something of the lair about it,
yes,
that's true.
It looks fantastic. Right, we'll get to that very shortly then. We'll tell its story in music. Before that, it's time for the quiz. We've already established it's a Christmas quiz. Just remind us again sensationally, what's about to happen, Joe?
Okay, well, sensationally, I'm not going to be playing backwards audio. This is the good news. The bad news is I think this is the hardest quiz we've ever done. So we decided we weren't going to do a whole Christmas show because I think people are sick of Christmas music on the radio. They don't want their musicologist hour
Speak for yourself, but anyway.
Devoted to that. Well, there's plenty of it on 5 Live and elsewhere for those who are seeking it out. But I did want to get a bit Christmassy. It is, after all, now coming into December 10th. So we put together this. In my academic research, I learned that more than 60% of Christmas songs in the UK top 20 of the last 10 years feature sleigh bells. And so we decided to go and extract the sleigh bells from some Christmas songs and see if people can tell what the song is just from the sleigh bells part. Harder than it sounds.
Yeah, I think this could fox our regulars, you know, Joe. I think this could be it.
Let's see how Christmassy they're feeling.
Okay.
So let's go for it. There are 6 questions. I'm looking for the artist and the song, and I'll give you the year. I'll give you close to the year. So this is a song from the early 60s. I think this one's pretty easy. You're hearing sleigh bells and a little bit of drums. Little bit of a clip-clop there. Perhaps
That's
a bit of a
massive hit, and the name's escaping me. It drives me nuts, this quiz. Anyway, okay, onwards.
Okay, we're going back to the late 50s. This is an even bigger Christmas song that we still hear today. Here are those sleigh bells. A little piano leaking into the mix there. From the next one, this is from, I'm going to say the 1970s. Yeah, I'll give you the year. This is 1973. And very famous intro here. So that reverby drum sound and that bass drum going boom, 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 boom. That was a clue, I think, at the end. To a more contemporary one, this is all the way from 2023. It is quite a well-known Christmas song, certainly more than 100 million views and streams. So this is from 2023, and here are those sleigh bells.
That sounds like Psycho.
More of us caught a pop, hip-hop beat there. Going back to another oldie, this is from 1970, and here are the sleigh bells and a bit of rhythm track.
Right.
And finally, for number 6, these are sleigh bells, and it's not technically a Christmas song, although it does appear in a famous Christmas movie from the mid-60s. You'll kick yourself when you hear what that one really is.
You were right when you said it's possibly the hardest quiz we've ever done. I've just got 6 blank spaces.
I've got 2 artists, but with massive question marks after them.
Well, we will, as ever, on this hour, we will recap it for you before the end of the hour, so you get another go to get your answers in before we play them. Fantastic stuff. Right, thinking caps on, everybody, but I reckon that's going to stump a few listeners tonight, which is great. 12:15, let's kick right into the music. We're talking about Jimi Hendrix Studio, so why not start with Angel by Jimi Hendrix from 1971.
Sure enough, this morning came home to me. Silver winged silhouette against a child's sunrise. And my angel, she said unto me, today is the day for you to rise. Take my hand, you're gonna be my man, you're gonna rise. And then she took me high over
So we're focusing on Electric Lady Studios, founded by Jimi Hendrix. That's Angel, performed by Jimi Hendrix in 1971. Why that particular track, Joe?
Well, of course, we couldn't have Hendrix's own studio and not feature a track by the man himself. But as I said, he was only around for 10 weeks after it opened, before he passed away. He did get quite a lot of recording done in there. So that track, as you said, was 1971, which means it was released posthumously. He actually wrote it a few years earlier, finished the lyrics in January 1968, and the working title then was My Angel Katerina, Return of Little Wing. And, you know, Hendrix fans will know that that song has a little bit of a sonic nod to Little Wing. Some of the licks and the tempo is very similar. But it was actually recorded there. It was intended for his fourth studio album, which he was working on at the time of his death. And I also thought it was a good one to dust off because, you know, there are certain Hendrix tracks that get played again and again on the radio and people love them and they're fantastic. But Angel, you know, I don't feel it gets the love it deserves. You know, it's his guitar playing's as good as it ever is. And sonically, it's, you know, showing perhaps directions that he would have gone in. Some wonderful studio effects. There's a phaser and a univibe and the use of reverb and echo. It's a really great track and, like I say, a bit of a clue of where he was going at that time in his career.
There's some really big names coming up in this slot who've recorded in this studio. And is there any uniformity in the sound at all, Joe? I mean, I suppose it's a bit much to think, oh, yes, I hear that's recorded at Electric Lady Studios. You know, it won't all resonate the same because they're all different genres for a start off.
Well, different genres. And, you know, when you're very close to a microphone, certainly for a vocal, you don't get a lot of ambience from the room. But, you know, like a lot of studios, it has a live room with a wooden floor, and that wooden floor is reflective. Every acoustic space has a sonic fingerprint. But no, I think you're right. No one can simply listen to a mix and go, aha, I know where that was recorded. Although I think we've all had the experience of talking to someone on the phone and you hear them and they're in the car and then you hear them as they get out of the car and the acoustic changes and then they walk into the supermarket and it's more echoey, you know. So we can hear acoustics. We can tell a lot about environment from the reverbs that we naturally hear. But no, I think there are many reasons why that studio became popular, but part of it was, of course, his legend.
Yeah, well, let's continue to immerse ourselves in the vibe of Electric Lady Studios. Let's go back to 1977 now. Everybody Dance by Chic.
Down, puts a smile on your face, anytime, any place. Dancing helps relieve the pain, soothes your mind, makes you happy again. Listen to those dancing feet, close your eyes and let go. But it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Up you up, up you up, up you up. Everybody dance. Clap your hands, clap your hands. Everybody dance. Clap your hands, clap your hands. Everybody dance. Clap your hands, clap your hands. Everybody dance. Clap your hands, clap.
Fantastic. I mean, that's one recording session I'd love to have been at. Can you imagine New York, 1977, the disco boom still going, Chic? Woof. Brilliant, Joe.
Yeah, it's a fantastic track, you know, the seminal track of the disco era. And believe it or not, it was the first song that Nile Rodgers wrote specifically for Chic. So it was kind of early in his career in establishing that Chic sound, he and Bernard Edwards. Yeah, fantastic track. It's famous for its chords. Its chords are very difficult to play on guitar because they're kind of jazz chords in the main hook. So it's music theory fans, it's C minor 11, B flat 11, C 11, A flat major 7, D minor 7, and on. So let's have a go at playing them on guitar here. So that's the main lick, and it's crucially got that rhythmic da 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 da. So it follows the vocal jump, everybody dance, and it's really is a jazz chord progression, but of course put over that disco beat with that famous funky 16s Nile Rodgers guitar part. So you got Norma Jean Wright there on lead vocals, and the backing vocals Luther Vandross, Diva Gray, Robin Clark, and David Lasley. And it's the second single from Chic's debut album. As ever, with a classic of that level, it gets sampled and it influences. I love that Steps sampled it in 2000 on their song Stomp. Sounds like this. Take a listen to this.
For goodness sake! I mean, that's the best bit, and then they start doing their own thing.
I know. I thought I'd fade out when the steps vocal came in, and then this is an uncredited interpolation of it. This is Manic Street Preachers in their song from 2010. It's not war, just the end of love. See what you think of this one. You can hear the rhythm, although the chords are different. So I looked it up. They didn't credit Nile Rodgers for that one, but there's a little bit of an allusion there, I feel.
And just before we move on to the next band, it only cost $10 to make this track. What's that story?
Yeah, I love this story. So, by the mid-70s, it was obviously a huge studio. All the big names were recording there. But Rodgers tells the story that the session cost the band, as you say, $10. And that wasn't even spent on studio fees. It was spent on bribing the elevator engineer not to tell the studio manager that they were recording in there, because it was the early days of Chic and they weren't megastars yet. So I really hope that story is true. Guerrilla recording.
It sounds great. Well, I'm a big Nile Rodgers fan, a big fan of Chic. So are you by the sounds of it. Not everyone is. This text says, mate, this is why we all became punk. Nile Rodgers was a real talent, but sold out early on. Well, luckily, for whoever that is, Joe, we may have something more to their taste up next. Because
quite possibly,
yeah,
yes.
From 1982 at the Electric Lady Studios comes this.
Casbah, by honor of the prophet, by that boogie sound, degenerate the faithful with that crazy Casbah sound. But the better when they brought out the electric camel drum, the local guitar picking guitar picking drum. As soon as the sheriff cleared the square, they began to wave. Chanting thing, but as the wind changed direction and the triple band took fire, the crowd got a whiff of that crazy Casbah.
Well, there we are. Rock the Casbah by The Clash from 1982. Started recording in London, but then moved to New York, Joe. What happened there?
Yeah, well, I think the Clash were just, they were making waves and they had the opportunity to go there. And I've no doubt that the Hendrix legend possibly played some part in their decision there. I just wonder if any of the Five Live listeners noticed the famous digital watch alarm sound that appears in Rock the Casbah.
I did hear a diddly-dee.
Did you hear a little diddly dee?
Yeah,
so that was Mick Jones's digital watch that had a little diddly dee alarm. You remember the digital watches of the 80s that had those beep alarms, and they recorded it and put it in the track. So that there's a lot of, I mean, people talk about the Clash as a sort of straightforward punk band, but the records are really sophisticated. Lots of sort of production techniques in there. So yeah, it's we were hearing that particular section, which had that sort of breakdown section. Famously, it is a sort of fabulist account. It's a story of a fictional Middle Eastern king who tries to ban rock music, but it became a kind of an anthem for rebellion generally about anyone who wants to keep the kids down. And so, yeah, it's Sharif, he don't like it. Rock the Casbah, and it's a call to arms for rock, and I love that about it.
Yeah, and there's a line here about Strummer found out that he was in tears when he found out on a US bomb destined for Iraq in the 1991 Gulf War, someone wrote "Rock the Casbah" on the bomb.
Well, right. A lot of artists can get very upset when people reappropriate their music. We've seen that in many a political rally. I won't name any politicians, but, there are lots of examples of artists objecting to politicians using their music for a message they don't agree with. And that does sound like a really heartbreaking story, that from the Iraq War.
So there we are. We've had Jimi Hendrix, we've had Chic, we've had the Clash. We're coming a bit more forward in time now. I think we're coming to 2000. Didn't You Know by Erykah Badu. Didn't You Know they're recorded with the collective Soulquarians, Joe? Who and what are the Soulquarians?
Yes, isn't it a wonderful word, the Soulquarians? They came up with it. So they were a rotating collective of experimental black music artists, and they were active during the late 90s and the early 2000s. D'Angelo, we've had on the show quite recently, and who sadly passed away this year. Drummer and producer Questlove, producer rapper Jay Dilla, Erykah Badu's and lead vocal there and wrote the song. Trumpeter Roy Hargrove, bassist Pino Palladino, who's been everyone's favorite session players for decades, and rappers Q-Tip and Mos Def. So they were a sort of collective that they all knew each other. They tended to play on each other's records. So that's a combination we were hearing there of live band, actually recorded in ELS in the studio, and a sample. And the sample, I'm going to play the sample. It's of a track called Dream Flower by the jazz collective Tarika Blue from 1977. This is the bit that they use. Here it is. just as an aside, if any of the Five Live listeners are looking for some great driving home music, that album Tarika Blue, Tarika, with their self-titled album, it's fantastic late night jazz music. It's a really wonderful vibe. That sample was actually used without permission. People did that back around the turn of the millennium. No one today does that in the music industry. It's too risky to use a sample without permission. And of course, the lawyers wrote letters and they figured it out, and some money changed hands, and eventually they cleared the sample. But yeah, it's just a lovely sort of a texture that is created by that track, and of course Erykah Badu's vocal is extraordinary in everything she does.
Oh, just on a general question, Joe, about appropriating music. If you said I don't want to talk about a particular case for all the obvious reasons, but how much? I mean, I don't know, if I wrote a little ditty now to try and break the charts and sampled something from ABBA, for example, is there a set fee that I would be fined or had to pay to ABBA to get that through?
The answer is no. It's a business negotiation. Someone else has something of value that somebody wants, and they do business together. But crucially, in copyright law, the person who owns the sound recording and the underlying song, they're separate copyrights, they both have to give permission. You can't sample or interpolate, that is, re-record a sample, without getting permission from the copyright holder, and that permission in law can be withheld. So now, of course, a lot of creative people, they're in the room, they're in the zone, they've got their crate dug vinyl, and they sample it in. They go, "This sounds great, it's a great jam," and they often don't clear, or back in the day they didn't clear the rights before actually putting the record out, and then the person who owns the copyright hears it on the radio, and that's the worst case scenario for the person who does the sampling.
You're at the mercy.
Well, right, because you're bang to rights. You've got a hit record out there. So this happened to the Verve in 1997. They famously sampled an Andrew Lou Goldham orchestral recording of the Rolling Stones the last time. It was a whole thing. We'll probably talk about it on the show before too long. But yeah, the answer is that there is no price tag on a sample, but there is a business deal to be done and shared credits to be discussed.
And it can cost thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at worst.
Yeah, I'm working with a client right now, not allowed to say anything other than there's more than $1 million on the table in a lawsuit. So it can be a lot. An international hit that is played for years and years, generates royalties, appears in movies. There's a lot of money to be collected.
Interesting stuff. Right, let's plough on. We've got 2 more songs to go from the Electric Lady Studios. That's 2014 now. This is Pretty When You Cry by Lana Del Rey.
All the pretty stars shine for you, my love. Am I that girl that you dream of? All those little times you said that I'm your girl. You make me feel like your whole world. I'll wait for you, babe. That's all I do, babe. Don't come through, babe. You never do. 'Cause I'm pretty when I cry. I'm pretty when I cry.
Lana Del Rey, Pretty When You Cry. I read here, Joe, that she says a lot of that was improvised. Is that something, I know that's something that happens in the studio. How often does that improvisation get onto the vinyl?
Well, of course, if you're improvising endlessly, then you can choose the best takes. So, yes, I'm sure it was done live, and I think Lana Del Rey has said as much in interviews. But at its heart, it's quite a simple track. The verse, let's just grab a guitar here. The verse is based on a 4-chord loop. So we've got this B flat minor, and then the F, and then an A flat, E flat minor.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's really nice, and I love that sort of fingerstyle reverbed guitar sounds. It's one of my favourite clean guitar sounds to get. So that was guitarist Blake Stranathan, who is actually been her guitarist throughout her career and continues to be so. Found him on Instagram the other day, so like everyone else, he's on the gram. And he's a co-writer there. But the bit that was recorded at Electric Lady Studios, Studio A, was the basic guitar and vocal take. So as the track goes on, there's more instruments added, there's drums, extra vocals and guitars. But those are overdubs. So the bit that was done pretty much improvised straight to tape was the guitar vocal recording. And yes, so the story goes, a lot of those lyrics were improvised.
Final tune in just a second. Just a quick question. Well, we're talking about Electric Lady, so let's talk about that. But just a studio in general. This is a naive question, but I'm interested. If you're an artist and you move into a studio, do you take everybody with you, or do you inherit someone who pushes the buttons? I mean, presumably you take your own record producer in there as such, or a mixer. I don't know. Or do the studio provide all these people?
Yeah. I mean, studio will have a core staff, and there will sometimes be a house engineer. Certainly, that was the case in the older studios. Typically, these days, people will have their own creative team, but their creative team will be assisted by staff who work at the studio, depending on the level the studio is operating at. But increasingly, for the last sort of 25 years or so, everything's kind of hybrid, because you can do so much pre-production now just on a laptop, and often people are bringing in their own stems, their own pre-recordings, and doing only certain parts of the tracking and in the studio, because even today with reduced recordings costs, actual tracking time in a studio is very expensive, because you're hiring a big space in a big city with lots of talented people, and so time is money for that.
Yeah. Just a quick aside, Gareth says that Lana Del Rey track sounds a bit like Hotel California. Maybe that's for another day. Although
it's similar chords. I see where Gareth is going with that.
I do get that. It's incredible, isn't it? Right, let's end with evidence that the studios are still going strong. This is Distance by Yebba from 2021. Getting soul, I'm getting jazz. I love that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful track, isn't it? So that was to say, Tony, was Yebba from 2021, from her debut and so far only album, Dawn, which came out in 2021. She's one of these people that she's not incredibly prolific in terms of her own output, but the music industry and other artists absolutely love her. So Yebba's story, she's from Arkansas and she was a YouTuber in her teens, and people just started noticing how great her singing was on her YouTube work and sort of discovered her. In 2017, she signed to Ed Sheeran's record label, Gingerbread Man Records, and released her debut single Evergreen in 2017. As I say, that was from her only full-length album. It's a lovely sort of late-night jazz vibe. It was co-produced by Mark Ronson. It's another loop song, just in the music theory. So you've got an E-flat major 7, here it is. And then this G7, and then this lovely C major 7, and then this did, and that loop goes all the way through. And so the band's just sort of ticking along and letting her vocal just ride over the top of it. Yebba was apparently obsessed with D'Angelo's 2000 album Voodoo, very famous album that was also recorded at ELS, and it led her and Mark Ronson to enlist some of the musicians that we've just mentioned. The Roots drummer Questlove, bassist Pino Palladino, keyboardist James Poyser. So they're all playing on that. If people want to check out Yebba, I thoroughly recommend that you do. She's an amazing singer, and then the sounds are quite lovely. The best way to hear her live stuff, she has a whole ton of live recordings recorded at Electric Lady Studios with a live string section that you can find on her YouTube channel, and thoroughly recommend people check that out.
Great stuff. What a journey through the Electric Lady Studios, Joe. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Really enjoyed it. We've still got the Soundslike to come, where Simple Minds are facing off against Brotherhood of Man. That's the robot wars we never thought we'd have. Before that, let's recap the hardest quiz we've ever had. And what's more, you're playing it forward as well. So
yeah, playing it forward. No tricks. So what we have done is we've found 6 tracks over the years, 1957 to 2023 in total, and mostly Christmas songs or Christmas-associated songs, and they all feature sleigh bells. And we've used mix extraction technology to pull the sleigh bells out, so that's all you get. You get the sleigh bells and a little bit of drums. And the goal is to identify the song and the artist, 1 point for each, so potential 12 points on the table. So I think this one's super hard, so I'm going to give you the exact year, which might help people with cross-referencing a little bit. So here is number 1. These sleigh bells come to us in mono from 1963. For number 2, this is even older. This is a classic Christmas music recording from 1957. I think there's a couple of giveaways there. I think that snare gives it away. So some very reverberant drums now from 1973. And this is a huge Christmas hit. And listen out for the bass drum, bap, 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 at the end, which is a clue, I think. I just noticed there's actually a cowbell in there. Sleigh bells and cowbell together. I love that.
I can't wait to find out what they are. Right, that's number 3.
For number 4, this is a modern Christmas song from 2023, sort of pop. It sounds like a hip-hop beat, but it's really a pop track. And here it is. Here are those sleigh bells. For number 5, this is from 1970, and some unusual timing on this one. And it's not the most famous Christmas song, but those who really know their holiday music will know this one from 1970. Here's the rhythm section. And for number 6, finally, this is a super famous song, massive hit, still played on the radio today. It's not a holiday or Christmas themed lyric, but it was featured in a famous Christmas movie. The song from 1966. Here are those sleigh bells. So there was the Christmas quiz, the hardest one ever, I think.
Yeah, well, people have got a few more moments to get their answers in. 85058, or you can WhatsApp us 08085 909 693. We normally get a real rush now. Let's see, you might have confounded the lot today, Joe. So the numbers again, 85058, or WhatsApp us 08085 909 693. Time for the Soundslike now. We have teed it up. It's Simple Minds against Brotherhood of Man. Talk us through it, Joe.
I know, right? A 50-year-old Soundslike face-off.
Yeah.
I was a kid when both these came out. So this is, I don't know who the listener is, so if you are listening to this, please do text in and identify yourself, because we really appreciate this. Sounds like it's a really good one. So they texted us back in August, texted the show, and a quote from that text: Simple Minds Chelsea Girl, is it deliberately based on Angelo by Brotherhood of Man, or is it just a coincidence that they happen to share the same melody? Okay, so I'm going to go to the piano here. You'll see, Tony, I have a lovely boom mic, so I can scoot across the studio to the piano.
Oh, look at that. It's attached to his chair, everybody. It's great.
So we've got, what you're listening for is the intro riff of Simple Minds Chelsea Girl, which is in A. It goes like this. Okay, so that's the riff played really slowly. And that top line melody, da 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 da, which is the melody of the chorus vocal of running away together, Angelo. So it's not exactly the same, and they have a slightly different harmonic rhythm, but I could see what this mystery listener was driving at. So here are a bit of the recordings, and let's get into it. So here's that riff played at Simple Minds tempo with the full band. So you've got basically a 2-chord riff. You've got a chord of A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a D, and the same riff up a perfect fourth. And then that chord backing is also used as the backing of the chorus. Here's the chorus of Chelsea Girl.
Better explain.
So you can probably hear that riff, that it's still there in the background. Here's the chorus of Angelo.
Running away together, running away forever, Angelo. Running away from danger, hiding from every stranger, Angelo. They knew it wasn't wrong.
So they don't immediately line up. They don't easily line up, because you've got the double hit on the riff in the Simple Minds tune, da, 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 and of course they're in different keys. So Simple Minds are at about 109 beats per minute. Angelo's about 115. So we'll compensate for that. Here's Simple Minds playing Chelsea Girl in the same key as Brotherhood of Man. So here's the riff in C. And just to remind you, here it was in the original key, slower and lower. But it's still, it's quite difficult, isn't it, to imagine how they're going to fit together, because they kind of don't, even if you compensate for key. But there is a way. So we basically take the riff in C. Running away together, Angelo. You can do it as a 2-chord loop. And here's Angelo again.
Running away together, running away forever, Angelo. Running away from danger, hiding from every stranger, Angelo. They knew it wasn't wrong.
So you've known me for a long time, Tony. You know exactly what I'm going to do.
I love
with
it.
This
I can't wait.
coincidence. So 3 hours of audio editing wasted this very afternoon. Let's put those two together. So this is a song that I'm calling Brotherhood of Chelsea Minds.
Fantastic. But I'm just, for a moment, I'm just thinking of Jim Kerr driving home from a gig tonight, thinking, hang on, I'm duetting with Brother and a Man. What's going on? I'm hallucinating. Brilliant. That was great, Joe. Fantastic.
So I do love those ones that the listeners come up with, because they, it's not a connection I would have made, but as soon as this mystery listener explained it in text, I thought, yeah, I can see where they're coming from. So please keep them coming. We love them.
Yeah, do that. 85058 and WhatsApp is 08085 909 693. We always forward them to Joe. So send in your thoughts. And you never know, you might end up the star of the show, which is fantastic. Joe, it's time for the quiz answers. All I will say is, Neil in Chester normally always gets it right. Yep. He says not very confident this week. That's all I'll say for now.
Well,
you said it was the hardest one ever.
Nailing it. I think it is the hardest one ever. This is very difficult. Let's reveal the answers. So question 1, here's the backwards version. Sorry, here's the extracted version. And the moment you hear the band come in, you will know it is the Ronettes with Sleigh Ride. For number 2, I think the little snail it gave it away. And a little bit of leak from the piano, Bobby Helms and Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
For number 3, in 1973, there was only one person who would put that much reverb on a drum kit in the age of glam. It was, of course, Roy Wood from Wizard. Listen for that bass drum. Bam, 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 bam.
There's at least 4 people with them all right so far. It's incredible.
5 live listeners never let us down. So this one's from 2023, less of an oldie. Here's the Sleigh Bells. When you hear the vocal, Sabrina Carpenter in Nonsense Christmas.
It's the holiday remix.
And at a stroke, everyone's gone.
Sing
Oh, you're watching.
We're all gone.
Everyone's gone on that one.
Big hit. From 1970, this oldie with the time signatures going on. That ringing floor tom, and it was Donny Hathaway from 1970 and the song This Christmas. And finally, from 1966, a much-loved song, not a Christmas song in itself, but featured in a famous Christmas movie. The movie was Love Actually. The artist, The Beach Boys. The song, God Only Knows.
I may not always love you.
Who knew there were sleigh bells in that?
Yeah.
Our stars above you.
It's kind of become a Christmas song now, hasn't it?
I think it really has. Yeah.
Well, Paul, you can pick the pieces out of that then, because people have done 5 out of 6 on a lot of them.
1 to 3, there's a lot of good people there. 4 scuppered everyone, and it's a tie because Neil in Chester got 6, got the Beach Boys, and then Benny got 5, which was Donny Hathaway.
Yeah.
So basically 4 or 8 out of 10 was the best this week. So no perfect scores.
Still well done to you guys, and thank you to everybody who loads of people entered, and actually people just sent in 1 or 2 of them just to show that, which is great. I got none of them. The first one, the Ronettes, I mean, it was so obvious and it was just on the tip of my head.
Yeah, it's that Phil Spector sound,
I
isn't
just
it?
couldn't get it.
And
Great.
you know what? While I was researching all this sleigh bell stuff, Tony, I discovered a fun fact this week that I want to share with you.
Yeah.
Where I live in Massachusetts, which is New England, you know where Boston is on the east coast of America.
Yeah.
To this day, it is still illegal under Massachusetts law to ride on a 1-horse open sleigh unless your horse has a minimum of 3 sleigh bells attached.
Really?
That's true. You can Google that.
For what? Instead, you can't have an air horn instead. It's just for safety
You've got to have
purposes.
sleigh bells on your sled or sleigh in the snow. And we get a lot of snow in this part of the world.
We have been warned. Well, anyway, you're now the Grinch because you're refusing to do a Christmas musicology. So who knows? Who knows where we will go next week? Joe, thanks as ever, mate. Been brilliant. Really interesting tonight. Thanks a lot.
Oh, that was really good fun. Good to talk to you.
A
See
lot
you
of
next
love for
week.
you. Cheers, Joe. Don't forget, if you've got a sound-alike idea, however unlikely you may think it is, Joe can always pick the pieces out of it. So 85058, WhatsApp is 08085.